ask our school solicitor just to remind the audience and our board the purposes of our meeting tonight, please.
Thanks, Mr. Berlin. The purpose of the meeting is twofold. First is to reorganize, which is the board is required to do by law the first week of December. Last year, the board decided to combine its reorganization meeting with its regular monthly meetings. So that was voted on at the December meeting in 2018, and it was advertised as a reorganization meeting and a regular meeting. As I understand it, the purpose for that was because the second meeting in December was difficult for board members and the public to attend because there were a lot of school activities and Christmas pageants and things of that nature, and there was a lot of conflict. That's very common in school districts to combine the reorganization meeting with the regular meeting because nobody wants to go to two meetings in December. So this meeting was advertised last December or January, I'm not sure which, but last December, as both a reorganization meeting and to be followed by the regular meeting. So that's what we're here for.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney McClure. Since the last board meeting that was held, many citizens and parents have expressed overwhelming support of this board, and in particular the board president and superintendent. Their kind remarks of support cited board and administration acts and accomplishments that those citizens verified by looking at the meeting minutes and budgets. I thank those citizens for your support and applaud you for not being deterred by other voices. The messages of support have also denounced the tactics of others, which have included false accusations, rumors, and lies. I remind all present tonight of a long-standing board policy adopted before I was on the board, that comments that are personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant will not be tolerated during our board meetings. Should a comment be made that is false or with reckless disregard as to whether or not it is false, legal consequences for defamation will be pursued against the person making that comment. As our school solicitor announced at the last meeting, there are limits to statements that are leveled against public officials. Be aware that this meeting is being video recorded to ensure an accurate account of the meeting. I encourage all citizens to look to our records and not to false allegations, innuendos, rumors, and lies. With that, we will now have our citizen comment period. Those who signed up to speak 1 week prior to the meeting will be afforded a maximum of 10 minutes to speak. Those who signed the visitor's log tonight will have a maximum of 5 minutes. If more than 2 persons wish to speak about the same topic, please appoint one person to act as the spokesperson for the group. Please wait until you are at the podium to state your name and address. Thank you. We'll begin tonight with the people that are listed on the agenda, and first is Nicole Lee. Welcome, Mrs. Lee. You'll have 10 minutes to address the board.
Okay. Hi, my name's Nicole Lee. I was here last board meeting, a couple new faces. If you don't know me yet, I like data. I worked for the IU for 8.5 years in school-based access billing, and through Mary Eckert, I actually learned a lot about how school districts run. So I'm here to provide a lot of information to the community, so if you forgive me, I'm not going to be exactly addressing you the entire time, but I do have some facts that I want to put out there and help address some of these allegations that are coming forward. So, my name's Nicole Lee. I am a new parent, but I have a kindergartner here at the school, and I'm just going to kind of dive right into some data that I had pulled up. I do have a couple of packets. They are on the back table. I printed 30. I'm not sure how many people took them, but if you need something to reference, they are back there and they are available. And if you want any information, just feel free to get a hold of me and I can get that for you. I will start by telling you that I did contact the Auditor General's office, and I did confirm that we are under a performance audit. They started here August 13th, and they are reviewing the years 2014 through 2018. So they have actually been here for a while. The results of those should be coming soon, and we'll be happy to read through those results when they get posted. The next thing I want to talk about are testing scores. For anybody that does have our packet out there, I provided a graph that shows our testing scores that are going up in the district. It looks like this. I know it's hard to see from the back. What is happening is there was a restructuring for the PSSAs that started in 2015. So you'll see a major drop, and that's common throughout all school districts. Going forward, you can see that the blue line, Wattsburg School District, is actually ahead of the game compared to our peer districts. Our peer districts are anybody in the IU5 region, so Warren, Crawford, and Erie counties. The things that I wanted to point out for the PSSAs, we actually have a lot of good data coming out. For the elementary school, we increased by 10% for advanced. Our below average actually dropped by another 1.5%, so it's shifting the right way. For math, we actually increased by 13% for advanced placement. Below placement, again, it dropped another 3.5 points. So everything is shifting positively. For the middle school, there are some, just from the data point of view, it looks like English is something that needs to be worked on. They kind of stayed flatlined, it looks like. For math, we increased 9.5% in advanced, and below average actually dropped by 17.8%. That is a huge, huge drop. Science, we increased by 7.3%, and below average actually dropped by 5.4%. So there are good things coming out of this data. Are we where we need to be? Not exactly. Somebody had pointed out to me that we are one of the lowest academically in our region. That's a true statement. But this data proves that we are on the right track. The things that the board have put in place and Mr. Berlin have put in place are starting to work. Is it completely visible yet? No. Do a lot of questions need to be asked? Yes. Do we need to be forthright in coming forward to the board and saying, hey, what's going on with this? Yes. But the data is there, and we're getting there. The next thing I want to dive into is finances. Many of you remember from last week, Mr. Mueller came forward and he had told everybody that we are the second highest income behind Fairview. That is actually true. With his help, I was able to find more data, and it's actually provided in two places, the U.S. Census Bureau, and it's also kind of filtering in now through PDE. So what PDE is doing is reached out to the Census Bureau, and if you look at this sheet, you can see that we are right behind Fairview School District. Our average median income is $65,000. So we are the second highest. Fairview is 86. Our next highest after us is Harbor Creek at 63,000. So where this hurts us is our funding sources. Because the state has this data saying that we have a high median income, consequently, we do not get as much funding for our school. Because they say, oh, they have a lot of money in that district, the taxpayers can handle it. But what I feel like is happening is, while we do have good incomes in our district, we don't have the business tax base to back that up. And that's where we are hurting horribly, because Harbor Creek has a business tax base, Mill Creek has a tax base, Northeast has a tax base. The businesses here are very small. So we are not able to get a lot of that income driven from businesses that our other neighboring districts have. And so that goes to my last point where you can see on our budget, we are third from the bottom. Actually, we are the second from the bottom because Warren got misfiltered. But our budget, our funding budget for the 1920 school year was $6,885,000. Our neighboring school district, Iroquois, got $8.75 million. Our neighboring school district, Northeast, got $8.89 million. So they're getting drastically more funding than we are. And this affects you as the taxpayer. The good news is that summer of 2020, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has ordered the state of Pennsylvania to hear an argument against, it's called a funding formula for the state of Pennsylvania. Basically what happens is all these ratios get put into a funding formula, and that decides how much money is getting into our district. Some of them include the ACS 5-year median income, the sparsity ratio, average daily membership ratio, local effort capacity index, market value aid ratio, market value / personal income aid ratio, ACS 5-year poverty percentage, local effort rate, and probably 20 others. There's all these different formulas that you have to put together, and it's mind-boggling. So to have a 2020 hearing on this is good news. Hopefully our argument will be heard. My last role statement is our fight is not with this board and with this administration. Our fight is with our state. We need to be going to our state legislators and explaining this is not right, because they have told us as a community, we are not good enough. We are not good enough to have money invested in our school and our kids. The board is doing the best they can. If taxes have to go up, mandated costs go up, pension costs go up, there's nothing they can do about it other than try and, take away programs to make it work or pass the buck on to the taxpayer. So I agree. Some of you don't like my statements. I'm giving you the facts. Our problem is with our legislators. With that, the board, I look forward to working with you. I do have support for you, and I'll be here for a while. I have 2 kids, so I'll be here for probably 20 years. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Lee, for your comment. Our next speaker on the agenda is Haley Swayze. Ms. Swayze.
Hi, my name is Hallie Swayze. I live at 10035 Lake Pleasant Road, Waterford, PA. I have been in the school district for 15 years, since preschool. I'm a senior now. I want to start by welcoming our new board members. The students are beyond excited to see you guys on the board. Today, I'm going to focus not on statistics or spreadsheets, as many of the other speakers will, I'm sure, but on firsthand experience from a student that has been in the school district forever. I encourage all of you to take a moment to look up from your statistics and to look at us as people and as students that deserve a worthwhile education that we can be proud of. The students have spoken up in the past about buses, school spirit, AV schedules, and all kinds of topics that we feel passionate about, and we have been ignored. We will not stand for this any longer, and we demand to be heard. So, a week ago, we had a public meeting hosted for students to share their concerns and what they want to see change about our school. This was for students that maybe didn't feel comfortable coming up to speak to the board, so that students that did feel comfortable could speak up for them. Some of the largest concerns that were brought up by students was, number 1, loss of good teachers. We love our teachers, but the ones who have taught us most are no longer there or have stopped teaching us because they are afraid to be the extraordinary people that they are. To any board member that thinks this isn't true, I would love to take you through my regular school day at Seneca and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Stop making our teachers afraid and stop shutting them down. Encourage them to be individuals so that we can have role models in our school. They need to be allowed to speak up, even if it is about topics that could be uncomfortable or controversial, because that is how problems are solved. Please take care of our teachers and treat them with the respect they deserve. Don't give them a hostile work environment. Hostile environment trickles down to the students, and that brings me to my next topic the students brought up at our meeting, which is a lack of school spirit. The students feel that we need more contact with the board, and that comes directly from people on student council that have come and spoken to you multiple times and have not been heard, and the student body as well, who have not been heard by you. We want to paint murals, and we want to paint walkers that are actually our school colors, and we have really talented artistic students in our school, and they're not allowed to express themselves. We really want to paint murals. We've tried before. It is our school, and we would like to be able to do the things that we can to show pride for it. That includes things being approved at PEC assemblies. Another topic that was brought up by students was being afraid to use the bathrooms because of the vaping situation in our school. So this was just discussed at a recent faculty meeting, and it has been passed that students can only use their bathroom passes for 5 minutes at a time. More needs to be done than just limiting time in the bathroom. Students are afraid to go to the bathrooms because they are threatened, they are pushed, students will bang on their stalls. It's scary to go to the bathrooms, and I'm a senior, so I can't imagine how the underclassmen feel. The fact that the board is not handling the vaping situation more proactively is a little bit repulsive to me and the other students because we're literally not using the bathrooms. It's that bad. In terms of the middle school, I attended the middle school for 4 years, and I interned there for 2 years. Test scores or no test scores, the middle school is lacking a lot academically. The students, maybe we need to look at holding students back in the middle school or some type of a tutoring program, but I can tell you I went through the middle school program and students are not prepared when they come to our high school. Or they leave and they go to a private school because they didn't learn anything in middle school. I see that we have cameras at this board meeting, which is fantastic. I'm sure that that's for your safety as well as ours. I was wondering if we can maybe post the videos that we have from board meetings so that they're a little more publicly accessible. Not everyone can make it to the board meetings. People work, they have children. The roads here aren't always great in the winter time. There's no reason we can't post these videos and people can go on and watch the board meetings in their own time. I'd like to close by talking about the leadership on our board. The very first thing that you learn in ROTC, which I've been in for 4 years, is that there are leaders and there are followers, and you cannot be a leader without followers. In a recent interview after the last board meeting, you said the people asking for new leadership are a minority. You are wrong. The election results clearly show that we are not a minority, and they show that you no longer have followers, so you simply cannot be a leader. It is in the best interest of the students and the taxpayers alike that you allow for new leadership and fresh ideas in our school, and I ask that you do not accept a presidential nomination. Last meeting, I stood up here to tell you that I wasn't proud of our school anymore. I'd like to ask the entire board to please help us make Seneca a place students want to stay at, a place that is safe, and a place that we are proud of again. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Hallie. Your comments are very well spoken and they will be taken seriously by the board. Our next speaker this evening is Amanda Thayer-Zach. Welcome, Mrs. Thayer-Zach.
Hello, my name is Amanda Thayer-Zach. I live at 9565 New Road. Some new faces. Good evening, guys. In my experience with Mr. Berlin and Dr. Pushtak as a board member of the Wattsburg School District for the last 4 years, it has been student-centered and education-focused. As the record clearly indicates, dynamic improvements have been made when Mr. Berlin was first hired and Dr. Pushtak was elected as president. To make no mistake that this is exactly what the improvements in our district began. The main focus and the top priority of the board was and is to continue to provide our students at Wattsburg Area School District the best public education we can. I am very confident that the students work very hard and take advantage of all the academic and extracurricular activities and opportunities that leave our district and our kids better prepared for the future. When I first started on school board, the positive transformation was underway. The curriculum budget and professional development budget was a very important topic and was given line items with actual dollar amounts. The money that was provided will help robust learning opportunities for our children and our teachers. A plan was established and implemented to expand and enhance very outdated technology program. Short-term and long-term facility building needs were identified and plans were put in place to address these needs. These are only 3 examples of a wide variety of areas that have been neglected in the past on different school boards, requiring a focus and strategic leadership to right the ship and to keep our educational institution heading in the right direction. So let's look at the results. The students' assessment scores in the PSSAs and Keystone exams have improved steadily over the last 3 years. Thank you to Mr. Berlin for allowing the teachers to have the education and the continuing education that they need to be able to teach our students. Over the last several years, our elementary school has been the highest it ever has. The improvements there don't, don't stop. They have been very prudent in making sure that the middle school has wonderful planning and effective leadership to make sure that the education is their only focus. Luckily, this district has both. In addition, the federal government decided to decrease our Title I funding. Like Ms. Lee had said, our tax base is high because our income is all through our constituents, not the businesses that are in the district. That being said, the state said to us, you're going to lose funding on a Title I teacher. We as board felt that that was inappropriate, so we continue to support out of taxpayer dollar Title I teachers so that the kids who didn't have the support at home were going to get the support at school. Mr. Berlin has been instrumental in being an advocate for student safety. His leadership and resulted in safety audit conducted by the PA State Police from our campus. Many of the results from this audit were implemented. Again, our student safety is our primary concern. The teachers have to live on this campus just as much as our students have to live on this campus, and they're being taught how to be safe in a classroom is very important. For me as a parent, I want my kid to understand the rules, and I want my teachers to understand the rules. Mr. Berlin also advocated for and developed a plan to secure a resource officer from the Erie County Sheriff's Office. The presence of Officer Knight in our district has been astronomical. We have valued his place in our education system in protecting our students and staff. Everyone understands that navigating technology is essential to where we want our children to go after they complete high school. From the time my oldest son started kindergarten, STEAM and technology has been a focus in his daily education. 2 years ago, the middle school technology curriculum consisted of just keyboarding. And now we have a wonderful STEAM program that allows our students to build on the knowledge that they learned in elementary school. Unfortunately, progress just takes time. I spent 4 years thinking we were going to do everything, and it didn't happen. We did a lot in a short amount of time because we all agreed that the kids' education was the most important thing. Please understand that the results of our technology improvement are very apparent. The district now has a 3-year replacement technology plan in budget. Our whole school is on a 1-to-1 ratio, and that is just the beginning. Our budget in technology was not short term. It is in place for the rest of this district's history. We don't understand that technology is going to leave us. It's here forever. We can only continue by allowing our children to get what they need so that when they go to college, they aren't behind. My own kids and other kids have taken advantage of the academic offerings as well as the extracurricular. My oldest son is now doing Science Olympiad and Lego Robotics and is having a blast, while my youngest participates in every sport known to man, and he really does do his best on the field as well as the classroom. I would be shame on me as a parent to stand and say to him, he can't have the best, when that's all I want for him is the best. And my 4 years on board, it was to provide the best for every single kid in our district. And I feel, under the leadership of Dr. Pushchek and Mr. Berlin, that we were able to make some very good strides in that direction. And I hope that this new board understands and has the same value in our school district and the hopes and dreams of our young children to continue to see that progress in the right direction. Are things perfect? Heck no, but they never will be perfect. We can't live in a perfect society. All we can do is give what the state gives to us back to the children the best way that we can. As a proud former school board member, I certainly recognize that it takes a village to conduct business at such a large and huge complex organization as a school district.
It takes students, teachers, staff support, administrators, board members, volunteers, and other dedicated community members. My primary reason for mentioning Mr. Berlin and Dr. Pushcheck in my remarks this evening is because I feel that they have spearheaded the district in the right direction. There's been some major targeting and recent criticism directed towards the school district. This criticism is unfounded and unfair. It does not take many people and a huge financial support to provide an amazing school experience to our students. It also takes leadership. Mr. Berlin and Dr. Pushcheck provide amazing leadership and for this educational institution. These two gentlemen have knowledge and skills and ability to focus, continually improve, and lead the district forward in a positive manner. It is my sincerest desire and hope that the leadership is able to understand that the reorganization needs to continue and that the district needs to keep the leadership of Dr. Pushcheck as president. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Thayer-Zaks, for your comments. Our next speaker this evening is David Bona. Mr. Bona. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for your time. 4685 Stater Road. Welcome to board members and old. Best of luck to you guys while you're here. I'm going to address the crowd more than you guys. Sorry if I read. I'm a teacher, but I'm not talking about Egypt or Washington crossing the Delaware here, so I'll probably get this a lot. Today, I'm here to promote and plead to your common sense. Last board meeting, I was there to just support my son because the superintendent of the school board wanted to recognize him and the fellow marching band members for winning championships. And the plan was to go home directly after. But my son and his friends wanted to stay so they could see what happened at these events because they've never been. So we stayed, and I was disappointed how the night went. This all started with an issue about the district replacing current fields with new turf ones, and people were upset about taxes. Then, after that, wore off, it became about transparency. Both are very understandable complaints, and I understand people's anger with both. Then it just started feeling like a chance to voice concerns over personal issues that have occurred throughout the years here, and people became very angry. Mr. Berlin's been called a racist in the last couple months. To me, it's just not correct. People have been demanding that our superintendent, our board president Pushcheck resign, and they've been called bullies. I've been a teacher for 17 years, with 16 years as a social studies and reading teacher in a neighboring school district. And as an educator, I find myself a little confused as to what people outside of the school realistically expect from their school board and their superintendent. I personally find my job extremely rewarding but mentally exhausting. According to a recent study, the average teacher makes about 1,500 decisions during class instruction every day. I have over 100 kids that I hope to educate. I have to juggle nonstop avalanche of lesson plans, papers to grade, and forms to fill out. And I'm a cog in the machine. These guys run the machine. Dr. Pushcheck and Mr. Berlin are the machine, and they have to deal with thousands of children and hundreds of employees. In an Edinburgh alumni magazine that was recently published, Mr. Berlin compared himself to a CEO of a company, which is a realistic comparison. In it, he says, "I'm responsible for everything," and I'm sure he feels like it. Every complaint towards an employee, every mistake an employee makes, all has the potential to come back to Mr. Berlin and Dr. Pushcheck. If a student makes a mistake, even outside of the school, it reflects on the district and on them. Every 2-hour delay leads to social media outcry, which we've all seen on Facebook, with both for and against. They've had to deal with the death of a student getting off a school bus, and all the unfortunate aftermath that followed. They've juggled funds during an extreme budget crunch due to a state budget that was never passed. They've had to deal with threats against their students. Those are highly publicized problems, which they've handled expertly, in my opinion. But they also have to make calls on hundreds of other things that occur daily and behind the scenes, and they do it well. Trust me, if you feel like Mr. Berlin or Dr. Pushak holds some personal grudge against you or your child, they probably don't, because they don't have time to. They have a lot to do. If your child got in trouble in school and you disagree with the punishment, you're certainly entitled to your opinion. But as parents, we should by now know that there are always two sides to every story. Trust me, not all little cherubs are angels that you think they are, at least all the time. I have two sons that remind me of that every single day. And along those same lines, neither are the teachers. Unfortunately, we make mistakes too. And for reasons often never publicized or released, districts move on from teachers. Lawyers get involved and moves are made, and they're almost never openly explained. I've seen teachers in my district come and go, and they're always surrounded by whispers but never concrete facts. Sometimes transparency is not an option, and the rumor mill is very often not correct, and we'll never know what really happens. But besides those negatives, look at the positives. As a parent, I have two children that have spent their entire lives in the Wattsburg district. As a fellow teacher, it's very easy to compare and contrast what Seneca offers my children and what my school offers my students. I know that both would be successful right now at any school in Erie County, because since they've become Bobcats, they've been continually challenged by their classroom teachers and by a rigorous curriculum. Look at our PSA scores for the elementary and middle schools. Our students are scoring higher, both in proficiency and advanced than ever before. Same for the high school on their Keystone results. We're performing at or above state averages while simultaneously exceeding the state's growth expectations. Common sense tells you that we need to keep doing what we're doing. I wish my district was this lucky in these scores. Which brings me to my next point. As an educator and a parent, could we ask for a better combination of people in charge of our school? We have a dream team here. Common sense tells you that you can't ask for two more qualified people than those two men. Prior to taking over our school, Mr. Berlin was a principal at all three levels, elementary, middle, and high school. He has a background in continuing education in regards to both trade schools and college. Is there a more well-rounded person to man the ship? He's got experience at all levels where we find our kids right now and where we want them to be. Dr. Pushak's resume is just as impressive. Since 2002, Dr. Pushak has pioneered the following during his career at Edinburgh University. A total revamp of the university's school administration program to the point where it's now nationally recognized and accredited. He created EUP's first online class for educational leadership. He was chosen by the PA Secretary of Education to rewrite the state standards and guidelines for principal and the superintendent programs. He's received hundreds of thousands of dollars in grants to create pilot programs to help administrators, teachers, and students. He's served as a volunteer on numerous boards, including the YMCA and the IU. His job is to train educators to run schools effectively and efficiently, and he's ours for free. While he's been published nationally as an expert in education, it's an article Dr. Pushak wrote for the Erie Times I'd like to bring to your attention. And he talks about the school's top two priorities. Number one is curriculum, giving our students a quality education. Number two, passing a balanced budget. In the article, he talks about how it would be easier to swap those two, to put the budget at number one and not the quality of education, but warns that you must not take your eyes off the prize. Which is sadly why many of you are here tonight. We elected Dr. Pushak to the board because he made giving our kids what they need priority number one. Now many of you are trying to wet him out because he's refusing to give up on that principle. He has 6 kids in our district. He is not doing anything that would take away their education. So if he has their best interest in his heart, surely he has ours. As a taxpayer like many of you, I was initially put off and blindsided by the idea of the fields and their costs. I was stuck in the Facebook comment section, and my immediate feeling was frustration, but then I researched it. I looked into what actually went down in regards to the board's decision and looked into their plan, and my mind changed. I saw transparency, I saw a financial plan, and most importantly, I saw a need for the fields when it comes to our students and activities. So I've come around pretty quickly once I had an open mind, and I'm a little embarrassed by my initial reaction and judgment. I have lived in Green Township for 16 years. When my wife and I first bought our home, we heard rumblings of a sewer project, but we're told it'll never come, don't worry about it. Well, we just spent several $1,000s to hook up, and I have a $100 bill every month for the right to flush my toilet. In the article that Mr. Berlin from the Edinburgh Alumni Magazine, he said that teacher pensions are out of control due to past mistakes in budgeting, and money is definitely in my mind every day. Mr. Berlin has said the same thing. If you look at the real reason why we're in a budget crunch, that's why. And 2001, schools contribute 0% to teacher pensions. In 2010, that was 5%. Now schools pitch in 35%. That's millions of dollars created out of thin air or from taxes. While nuclear fields have been the last straw for some of you, it's a small issue in comparison. So, real quick, I want to talk about the sewers and this issue right now, which I believe at the heart is the pension. 2 years ago, Lisa Ballamont was voted out of Green Township Supervisor because people wanted to voice their displeasure over those taxes in the sewer project. I, for one, voted for her. I supported her, and I think we can all that have been to the new park said that she did great work. As a history teacher, kids always ask me, why do I have to learn this stuff? My usual response is, if you don't learn from your history, you're doomed to repeat it. Another thing that we history teachers love are quotes. So I'm going to use one right here in regards to Mrs. Allamont. While I read it, please think of Mr. Berlin and Dr. Pushak instead of her. Here it is. This is from May 12, 2017. This project started way before. They have worked very hard not to try to keep our costs down, but federal and state funds to take some burden off the taxpayers have been looked at. Our township is run as best as it can with very limited funds. If you've never sat in on a meeting, go to them. Not only be amazed at the amount of work they do, but the overall motto of them. It's all our job. In this day and age, America, lying, untrustworthy, greedy politicians selling out their communities, it's reassuring to see our elected officials give a darn about our people, not the bottom line. We really have no clue how good we have it. That quote was from Richard Conkle about Mrs. Ballamont. And he and I agreed then. We don't agree now, but I think that if you use common sense, you want to keep these two, and I hope to hear what he has to say tonight too.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Bowman. Our final speaker that has been on the agenda will be Eric Duda.
This is a little different. Eric Duda, 9165 Town Hall Road in Wattsburg. Former and new board members, I was not able to say my farewells due to an illness, so I would like to beg your indulgence at this time. I know you're supposed to address the board as a whole, but you know me better than that. So starting with Dr. Pushak. Your background and knowledge of the education system was tremendously helpful, and I appreciated your insights. We are, however, very much alike in that we tend to rub some people the wrong way. Keep working on those people skills, and I will do likewise. Mr. Paris, at first, I didn't think you knew any other response other than no to any project that required spending money. I was pleasantly surprised to find someone who disliked spending as much or more than I did. I knew that it had to be well justified and a good return on investment if it got your stamp of approval. Mr. Pushak, I think I could count on one hand the words and the number of times that you actually spoke at meetings. However few, the words you shared came with great wisdom and reason. Thank you for centering us when necessary. Mrs. Kevich, you were like the big sister to everybody. You just wanted us boys to get along. Thank you for your humor. Thank you for insights when it was needed. And thank you for being a reasonable person. Mr. Berlin, you were an excellent principal in your abilities to gather and interpret data like a human ENIAC, that's an electronic numerical integrator and computer, make decisions that for those of us who operate on logic much easier as your role of superintendent. We never had to say, because I said so. It was because the data either supported it or it didn't. Attorney McClure, your legal guidance helps keep us operating within the law, and I know you will continue to keep the district's best interests at the forefront. Mrs. Bendick, you're not safe either. When Mr. Maximuk retired after what seemed like 100 years of service, I was privileged to be part of the board that failed miserably with our first attempt at his replacement. When we brought you on board, you were tasked with sorting out a terrible mess. You stuck at it, and I confidently say, we got it right this time. To the newest board members, congratulations on your election. I wish you great success. In fact, the very survival of our students and district depend on your success. As you dip your toes into the quagmire of regulations, requirements, moving targets of expectations, and funding sources with so many strings attached, you're going to feel like a puppeteer. It is now your responsibility to see that our elementary students, especially those in pre-K and kindergarten, leave here in 12 short years prepared to handle a world that has yet to be invented. And now to the board in its entirety. I had the privilege to attend Seneca starting in 1975 when it was relatively brand new. It was a state-of-the-art facility for its day. I'm sure the savings by not installing classroom doors was used to give us that top-of-the-line solar-powered stadium. It wasn't until years later when a backwards-thinking board returned us to the dependence on fossil fuel again and installed lights so we didn't have to play our home games on Saturday afternoons. In 2004, I was elected to the board for the first time. And it was that board that finalized the $17 million renovation of Seneca, squaring up trapezoids and putting those doors in. At that time, the cost was controlled by the elimination of things like a natatorium, a dedicated wrestling gymnasium, and I'm sure stadium upgrades were on the list. Over my 16 years on this board, we were approached many times about upgrading the stadium. And every time it was studied and determined to be cost prohibitive and deemed unnecessary. Opportunities like this become available far and few between. I implore you, keep your eyes open. Don't miss them or pass them by. All I will suggest is try not to do them at a special meeting. It tends to make some people, myself included, just a little cranky.
Speakers will be permitted 5 minutes to address the board who signed up this evening, and we'll start with Lauren Colvin.
Welcome, Lauren. Hi, my name is Lauren Colvin. I live at 801 Wattsburg Road, Erie, PA 16509. Welcome, new board members. Hi, old faces. I won't disagree with anyone who stands up here and says we have a fantastic school district. I've been here since I was in preschool and can attest to the phenomenal teachers, the fantastic cleaning staff, the nicest lunch ladies on planet Earth. I have enjoyed my time here, and I've benefited from many of the great opportunities that the board and my teachers have provided me with. Hallie covered a lot of my points, better said than I would, so I'll try to keep this brief. I just want to say what Hallie said isn't just the thought of one person. Most of the students of this district feel the same way she does. Our education is at the center of your focus just as it should be, but the environment in which we learn in is just as important. The hostile environment Hallie mentioned is very real and felt by all students. We can't paint murals, our voices don't feel heard, and we are excited to get a new turf field, but students have no say in what the field colors or the center design will be. The students want our voice to be heard and matter. Dr. Pushek, I think your experience on the board is very valuable, and I don't wish to see you leave the board, but I hope that You listen to the taxpayers and the students, and please don't accept a president nomination if you are to get one. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lauren, for your comments. Our next speaker is Rich Conkle. Mr. Conkle.
Rich Conkle, 10580 Sampson Road, Waterford, PA. Okay, first I found very interesting. We're going to start following all the rules and procedures, like have to get on the list a week prior. It'd be nice to also listen to the students and follow the procedures in the handbook for the students, especially on vaping and their concerns. Because I kind of find it a little odd when a few weeks ago I called the day of and got put on the 10-minute meeting, to a few days ago I called and told, oh, you have to call a week ahead, but we make that mistake once. Now, I've lived here, I hear everyone saying how long they've lived in this township and place. I've lived here for 44 years. My entire life I've been a Green Township resident. So to address the folks out here that have all your data is wonderful, except you have theory and you lack application. Listen to the taxpayers and the students. The field did start all this. And yeah, you have a whole place divided. Neighbor versus neighbor, family versus family, and I'm one of them. You guys, what you neglected to do was talk to the taxpayers first. I'm a taxpayer. I watch my numbers just like everyone else. I watch my insurances go up, my business insurances go up, everything go up. When I saw about this field, I had been under the assumption, yep, we're going to talk about it. Come in here, nope, there's nothing to talk about. It was pushed through. That's what has everyone licked. I'm sure you guys can do decent jobs. A lot of stuff, we have a beautiful facility, but it's lipstick on a pig if the kids and the students do not have the proper education. And to put all the money into the field where it could have been reused, you could have refinanced everything, put some for more of their education, give them what they've wanted, build their spirit. You'll build more from within, because what you're going to end up with is a beautiful field that no one's going to use because we don't have students that are playing. If anyone could come to the town hall meetings we host, we did one for the students last week. We had 12 or 15 students there. Listening to them, and it wasn't pushing what we wanted. It was listening to the students. There's a lot of stuff they want change up here. But they feel you guys haven't given it to them, that you're not listening to them, that you eye roll, that you look away, that you look at them like they're kids. These guys are young adults. We were all in their position one time, and we really wanted the adults to listen to us and take us seriously. They're in the same position. A lot of this, you have this animosity, us and you and everything going on, can easily be changed even tonight. Folks don't want you, Dr. Pushek, as a board president. Well, I'm not saying, oh, hey, yeah, you're going to need to be run out of town. Let someone else do it. Let someone who's going to listen to the students and have your board meetings from a taxpayer. Open them up when you're proposing stuff up there. Take the questions from the public. Your board meetings will go way shorter, but when you guys run this stuff through in a matter of 2 or 3 minutes, it ticks us off beyond anything, and we have to hold ourselves up here. Fine and dandy, but we're furious when we leave. Go to a Green Township meeting, like I said. We can ask the superintendent or the school boards, or not school boards, the supervisors. We can ask them in the middle of a thing, hey, what's that going to cost? How are we going to fund it? They will stop. They will talk to us. Oh, okay, no. What we find is if you don't, that sets up the rumor mill. That gets everyone like me ticked. I'd rather be sitting home doing something else on a Monday night. But I'm here backing the taxpayers because they have nowhere to go besides doing an uprising, and pitchforks and torches is what they want. We're trying to be civil here. All you guys have to do is open up your speaking back and forth. Put a new president in, let them do something different. Let people feel engaged, because right now, they feel like you're talking down to them. And eventually, you saw the guy 2 weeks ago. None of us knew who he was, who came down and lambasted. what's gonna happen someday when you push that wrong person who now they can't put food on their table, and that's their last thing, is they're gonna come in here and do something violent. We're trying to not have that go, but it takes everyone. It does take a community, a village to raise kids. It does take all of us to work together. We put everything together on November 5th, and we got 2 new write-ins in. The public will do that again in 4 years. And I'll lead it up if I have to, but I don't. I'd rather run business. I'd rather see things grow. Just enact with the taxpayers, enact with all the people here on both sides. We can work things out.
Thank you, Mr. Conklin. Thank you for your comments, Mr. Conklin. Our next speaker is Lori Zomzel. Mrs. Zomzel.
Lori Zomzel, 13727 Route 889 in Wattsburg. A couple of things. I had some notes here, but a couple of comments brought some things to my mind. To Mr. I'll probably say it wrong, Wona. I get it when you talk about the burden that Mr. Berlin and Dr. Pushak carry and the decisions that they make, much like every single school board president in the country and every single superintendent in the country. It's the job they have and the job they do. So 17 years as a 911 dispatcher, I understand about making tough decisions on split seconds. And I think we all do. Everybody's got a job, has kids, so I think I don't know that deserves extra credit. That's what they do. I have a couple questions. I truly appreciate the way things seem to change in the board meetings recently since the election, where we were allowed to ask questions and those were answered. And so I have a few. I did get my right to know return from Ms. Kelly about some things that I've sent in. So I have a few questions, and hopefully somebody will be able to give me some answers at some point tonight. It is regarding the turf project, although it's really more about the methodology. As Dr. Pushak acknowledged, it wasn't so much the turf project that we all objected to, it was more the way it was handled. So, in the resolution itself, so the gentleman from PNC Bank spoke a lot, and he talked a lot about $14 million in bonds, 14.9, almost 15 million. So that was a number that a lot of us understood. So I was kind of surprised when I actually saw the copy of the resolution. I wasn't really able to see it because of the way that board meetings don't get approved until the following meeting, and then it doesn't get, so anyways, and by the way, that is something that we could change, right? That's just your personal preference, Dr. Pushak. Board minutes could be published unofficially, like say in 3 days from this meeting, and then could just be approved.
Actually, no, that's not the way boards operate. That's not the way Robert's rules operate.
Okay. Okay, yeah, well, if you could answer when I'm done, because I'm gonna need all my 5 minutes, that'd be great.
Okay.
But, so, I appreciate that, thank you, Ms. McClure. But one of the things, so, I see in the resolution it says $9.5 million. So that was kind of a new number to me, I wasn't really sure. I do have, by the way, if you Google WASD Voices on YouTube, I do have the gentleman from PNC Bank, his whole entire presentation. On there, I have some screenshots of his numbers. So I'm just confused because I'm not an accountant. And then I also have here an email that went between Ms. McClure and Mr. Berlin the morning of the 28th, the morning of that special meeting, where Ms. McClure, I'm sorry, it was Shannon Trippy, I guess she's the paralegal, says that they spoke with a gentleman from PNC, and it was suggested that the amount in paragraph 5 be revised, and that, by the way, is that $9.5 million. And so, I found that kind of interesting, because revised is a curious word to use. If somebody could just explain it to me, it seems like in numbers, it either is or it isn't. It's black and white. It's either 10 or it's 12. And so corrected would have seemed like the word it would be. I'm not sure why something would be revised in terms of numbers. And then at the end of that email, this was you speaking, I think, Ms. McClure, where you said that your partner, Tim, or Attorney Senate, prepared the resolution, and we both strongly recommend its adoption, and I'm trying to understand why a legal firm has an opinion, a strong opinion, about something financial. So that was just kind of curious to me. And what I'd also like to say to the members of the board, the new members, I hope that everybody understands the power that you hold, and we are not a loud minority. 2,500 people showed up on election day in this school district, and 2,000 of them were there to put a new seat in the faces a new face in the seats that were up for election. So we, the people, are asking every single one of you to hear our voice. It's your choice now, and you all have a vote. And the only thing standing between this community and us using our voice and our vote again is the calendar.
Well, I'll address a couple items. First of all, minutes can get changed, draft minutes. Sometimes board members will say, hey, wait a minute, this is not right. I seconded this, he didn't make the motion, I made the motion. You have me as being present, I was absent that day. So minutes get revised, and they aren't final until they're adopted by the board at the following meeting. Your question about the email is difficult for me to answer. Attorney Senate is bond counsel, and we were recommending adoption. We're not recommending that the board incur debt. I could care less whether the board incurs debt or not. We were advising the board that if they wanted to move forward with the project, they had to approve the underwriter, and this was a resolution. It's required under SEC in order to move forward if they choose to move forward. This board has not yet voted to incur debt, so I'm totally misunderstanding that email.
Our next speaker is Mr. Troy Somsel as well. Mr. Somsel? Welcome.
Thank you. Troy Somsel, 13727 Route 889, Blacksburg. I'm new to this whole place. My wife went through the school system here. I got here a couple of months ago. But I don't see any clarity. I don't see any clear vision. And these gentlemen obviously have that vision, or they wouldn't be there. We're not hearing about it. We don't hear about the fields going in. We don't hear about how the money is being spent. We hear about, we're going to have a meeting, we're going to put the field on the agenda, we're going to vote it in. Where's the money coming from? How's it being spent? How are we getting from point A to point B? I don't see any lines. And that's how the clarity of being able to find this information just isn't there. Where is it? Freedom of information, should we really have to go that far to find out what's going on in our own school district? Really? Tell us what's going on. Let us ask questions. We appreciate the answers that we're getting. I mean, at least we're getting information. That's what we've been asking. Step forward. Let people know what's going on. Don't just go, oh, here's what we're going to do. You serfs go sit back down and make some more money so we can spend some more. That's what it feels like to us. That's our tax money going out. We need to know where it's going, why it's going, how it's going. We're not getting any answers. Freedom of information, like I said, why should we have to do that? Why can't we just come in and go, where's our money going? We also understand we're not out there making threats, or we're not out there making accusations that are unfounded. I don't know anything about that. What I want to know is what's going on. Where's my money getting spent? I just wrote a check. Just moved in, just bought a house, wrote a check. Where is that money going? The field, do we have all the information on the field? My wife got the contract. We don't have all the information. If a dog goes out there and does his business on the field, what has to happen? The sanitation, the cleaning, all the extra stuff that has to go on. Doesn't make their projected timeline. Is there a penalty? And if it does make their projected timeline, which is before the bond's paid off, how much is it going to cost us to have that field pulled? Because it's a special project to have that field pulled up and taken away and disposed of properly. We need all these answers, not just, we're going to vote on it, sit down, write another check, here goes your taxes again. That's what we're talking about. And Mr. Pushjack, if they nominate you tonight, I would ask that you not accept the nomination, that we get some new blood in there. Thank you for your time.
It wouldn't be possible to explain where $25 million goes. That's our annual operating budget in one meeting. We could certainly answer questions at some point about certain parts of it, but I think a little math to put some things in perspective is needed. We know what the average tax rate raise is on the average home in our district. The Ackman Index allows us to raise taxes to a certain index to limit tax raises. That started in 2006. So our average home is about $100,000, and we've raised taxes, like last year we raised taxes, and that increased the average tax to that home by $52. So that was a $300,000 tax increase, and the lion's share of that went to increasing pension costs and health care and personnel. That's where all our money goes. So to put it in perspective with the stadium, if the board votes to go ahead with the bond to finance the project, you're looking at $170,000 more per year. Now, we already have that line item built into the budget. We had to do that quite a few years ago to start saving money for the middle school, because previous boards had refinanced our debt and left us with junk bonds, and there was nowhere we could go. So the bonds finally became recallable, and we were able to do that, and that's when talk of, hey, we might actually be able to afford this project. So just to put it in perspective, $170,000, even if we did raise taxes to do that, which we don't need to, that would be about $2 on an average home per month. So I just want to put those things in perspective. Those are small numbers, and I think the board that voted to look into this project and move it forward, they were cognizant of that. We had those discussions. There was questions to that nature. We're really talking about $2 a month, and I think, I don't want to dismiss anybody, because a tax raise is a tax raise. The school district that I live in, we get blistered every year, and for the same reasons. I know what the reasons are, and it has nothing to do with the community of Wattsburg or the board of directors. It has everything to do with the state funding of education. It's broken.
Our next speaker that is signed up is Bethany Pinzock. Mrs. Pinzock. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Bethany Pinzock, and I have been the health and physical education teacher at the elementary center for 11 years and a Bobcat for 12. I thank you for the opportunity to simply scratch the surface on a couple of amazing experiences I've had thus far in the Wattsburg Area School District. First, I'd like to talk about the amazing faculty and staff on my team. Our entire district is filled with so many talents Talents that are combined as a team can find innovative ways to collaborate to meet each student's individual needs. I personally and truly feel like a productive and contributing member to my school community. As the PE teacher, I pride myself on teamwork and the personal, lifelong communication skills it can develop in my students and myself. For example, I rarely let my students pick their teams. After all, in life, we don't pick our teams, our family, our neighbors, our coworkers. I strive to teach them that each person is different. Some of us with loud and in-charge voices, some with quiet and more go-with-the-flow attitudes. Some with book smarts, street smarts, common sense, some are athletic, some are strong. We all have our talents. But when we can communicate our needs kindly, in an environment of support, we can't be stopped. We can come together to help with each other's shortfalls and all play a major role in the win. I won when I was given the opportunity to work for such a dedicated school district. Next, I'd like to showcase a little bit and tell you more about a positive experience, especially lately, and that's our school garden project. This was originally an idea that was presented to me from a parent of a child still in our district, community member, and her name was Trista Plott. She approached me and said, you know, Tractor Supply has this $500 grant to start a school garden. I said, yeah, sure, let's give it a try. So I got the grant. I teamed up with Mrs. Heather Hederman, the STEAM teacher in our school. I got the district's approval, administrators, board members, and off we went into the great unknown. The community stepped in. Over 700 people volunteered, hands in the dirt, and we've now had 2 very successful years of harvest. State Senator Michelle Brooks was in our school late last school year, about May or early June, and she was here with the Mobile Ag Lab. And in her visit, she was so inspired and saw the potential of this project that she just showed up a few months ago and gave our Bobcats $50,000. That is not a number a typical teacher dreams with, and really no strings attached. So we formed a team. And this spring of 2020, with the help of our new Assistant Superintendent, Rebecca Kelly, we're going to be breaking ground on a state-of-the-art outdoor educational learning space to impact student learning for generations to come. See, my dreams can become reality because I'm supported by my administration, peers, community members, and my school board. Dr. Pushchak, since day one, you and your family have reached out to help in more ways than I can ever count. You have professionally and personally supported me and inspired me. From keeping the kids moving more to being one of the founding members of the Seneca Soccer League, and to most recently being on your team to give more nutritious options for every student in our school district in the cafeteria. Your professional career at Edinburgh University gets you knee-deep in the trenches of education, all around our county and more, and in giving you the necessary skills to bring back to our district in a current profession that changes so often. You're not afraid to make the big moves that make big positive impacts on every student in this district. Mrs. Pikevich, you lead by example. As education keeps changing, you hold this district to your heart and you keep our core values and traditions strong. Mr. Paris, you're invaluable because you're the constant encourager and motivate our team to be the best. Personally, you have added gas to my teacher gas tank when it was low. Thank you for your support over the last 10 years that I've known you. Mr. Pushchak, your attention to detail, financial ethics, and ability to stay 10 steps ahead stand out on this team. To our new board members, Mr. O'Donnell, as a co-worker, a peer of mine, you're inspiring. I know that your commitment to a stronger communication within our district is going to be so huge on this team. Mr. Blazer, you've personally volunteered your time and expertise yearly, numerous hours for my pumpkin run that's held down at our track that brings hundreds of community members together to support our Bobcats. Mrs. Farrell, right there with me for pumpkin run as well. You are visible, you volunteer your time, you're a hard worker and an amazing mom. Your dedication to our Bobcats and the families will take this team far. Mr. Madsen.
Gonda Drive, Erie. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I would like to begin my remarks this evening with publicly stating that I support Mr. Ken Berlin and our school board president, Dr. Andy Pushchak, 100%. I feel they've been treated very unfairly after these past several months, and most of the people throwing mud at them have not looked into how much this group of people and these two gentlemen have done for our district and students over the past several years. No one has been able to point out anything the superintendent or board president have done wrong. Some people did not agree with the timeline for approving the work to our outdoor athletic facilities. Guys, this is a $30 million operation, and we're not always going to agree on every big decision. So because no one could point out any wrongdoing in the records over the past 6 years, some people think it's okay to go after these two men and personally attack them. This is not okay. This is plain wrong. It's wrong for adults to act like this, and worse yet, it's wrong for adults to model this behavior for their own children and other children who are witnessing these actions. We have a daughter who graduated from Seneca last year and a son who is in 9th grade right now. They have been the ones who have benefited the most from the last 6 years of educational leadership in this school district. They're the ones who have benefited from the amazing extracurricular activities. They're the ones who chose not to complain about Seneca, but to get involved and find the positives and take advantage of all the great offerings that this school district has. We, my wife and I, personally teach our children to work hard at every single thing they do and to chase their dreams. We teach our children to take advantage of all the opportunities that are provided to them, that are in front of them. We do not teach them to react disrespectfully when something doesn't go their way. We don't teach them to personally attack others when they may have a disagreement with them. I certainly hope that other parents are taking the same approach. From my personal experience, both of my kids have had nothing but the utmost positive support from the coaches, teachers, administration, and school board right in front of us here, in any endeavors that they have pursued while their time at Wattsburg School District and that they're still pursuing. Thank you.
Mr. Miller, for your comments. Our next speaker is Nicole Miller. Welcome, Mrs. Miller.
Okay, Nicole Miller, 9746 Gonda Drive, Erie. Good evening. I'm speaking this evening to voice my total support for the superintendent and board president. These two gentlemen have done nothing wrong, and they certainly have not deserved the criticism, allegations, and downright lies leveled against them. When supporting a huge organization with many moving parts, such as a school district, you're bound to experience actions and decisions you do not agree with. But that does not give any citizen the right to come after the leaders of the organization and try to personally destroy them. The appropriate approach will be to model the behavior you feel would be to model the behavior you would like for your children to witness and learn by respectfully presenting your concerns to the designated district official, be it a teacher, administrator, or the school board. Take the time to express your concerns and present documents or other data that back up your claim. Simply reacting with a mob mentality to rumors does nothing to have your concerns addressed. The recent behavior by many citizens I've witnessed at school board meetings and on social media are quite frankly embarrassing. Embarrassing to the school district, embarrassing to the community, and embarrassing to the students of our school district who have witnessed these behaviors. And the people who have displayed these behaviors should be embarrassed for themselves. And I'm embarrassed by what this is doing to our community. I have one daughter who graduated from Seneca last year, and a son who's a freshman this year. And I've personally witnessed the transformation of the school district since the time my children began attending the elementary center, starting in preschool. And it was approximately 6 years ago that the district improvements began kicking into high gear. And do you know what happened around 6 years ago? A new superintendent was hired and a new school board was elected. Their clear vision was to shift the focus from whatever it was before onto the student achievement, curriculum, prudent financial planning, and updated, neglected facilities. We've seen the results. We've seen their planning come to fruition. Student achievement is up in all 3 buildings. A solid curriculum is in place. Technology upgrades have been ongoing. We have solid budgeting practices established. Our facilities are amazing, and the improvements to our outdoor athletic complex will further enhance our students' experience here at the Wattsburg Area School District. I want to publicly thank Mr. Berlin and Dr. Pushak for their leadership, dedication to our students and community, and their resolve to continue to do the right things for our students and community. It hasn't been easy for them the past few months, and I want you both to know you do have the support of this community, as does the entire board. Thanks for all that you've done and will continue to do.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller, for your comments. Our next speaker this evening is Joy Bible. Bible.
Is that on? Joy Bible, 10500 Donation Road, Waterford, PA. I have a speech prepared, and I have to just say that I started coming to the board meetings some time ago, before the turf even got started, the discussion of the turf. It kind of blows my mind a little bit. Complaining actually happened at those meetings, and you guys were part of the complaining that was there, just saying. The turf is really what started this for me. At this point, I think Mr. Pushak, or Dr. Pushak, and Mr. Berlin have extremely high credentials, and I think that you are qualified to do this job. What I think you failed at was communication and transparency. And that, for me, I don't care about the rest, for me, that's the problem. I was waiting board meeting after board meeting to get financials on the turf, and it never came until the special meeting. That's what started this for me. I think, especially seeing the results of the November 5th election, where a very huge part of the community did come out and did vote for change. I think if Dr. Pushak was vice president and somebody else was able to be president, I think that would be a nice resolution. You would still have the expertise, but somebody else would take the seat for a while. Let's see how it goes. Why not compromise? That's where I'm at with things.
Thank you, Mrs. Bible, for your comments. Our next speaker is Carrie Glazer. Glazer. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Carrie Glazer. I live at 8480 Watford Road. Okay, let me do that again. That's the first practice round. My name is Carrie Glazer. I live at 8480 Wattsburg Road. And yes, I'm the better half of Jeremy up there. So I just felt the need to speak tonight to share some positive things about this district. I'm the mother of 3 children, 2 that are here tonight. My son is hiding, of course, but 2 are currently at the middle school, 1 is at the elementary school. I am also a second grade teacher in a neighboring school district. So the whole teachering position, Mrs. Beth Pinzock. It's a tough job, and just giving teachers credit. In the years since my children have been attending Wattsburg, I have been extremely pleased with the runnings, with the curriculum, with everything being taught to them. They're being challenged. The hardworking teachers and staff and the services that are available, the speech services, the services for grieving children that are available, just friends of ours, having that available to the children, having that within the school system. Busing, as a parent, I feel confident that my children are safe when they board their buses before and after school. I love the busing tracker app, like when it's not glitching though, but I love having that on my phone just to see, okay, my girls are home, or okay, I can beat the bus home and for Miles to get off of it. I love that, so whoever came up with that idea, it's awesome. My children have also been lucky to have bus drivers, like Bill Swanson. We've had him for a number of years, and he's been nothing but amazing and like safety first. The drivers allow me and my husband to leave for work and to feel confident that our kids will arrive to school and return home safely. The road that we live on, it's quite crazy with, like right on Route 8 Wattsburg Road, the crazy drivers and the amount of times that I've had to call the state police because of people passing the bus, coming up behind it and passing it. It's just disturbing and it infuriates me. Mr. Bill has also gone back to the garage here and also phoned in and has been very supportive in that. I speak of him just because I've had the most years with him, but he's been nothing but supportive and just taking care of the kids. As far as the new athletic facility, I'm excited for it. My kids are athletes. The current fields and the track are in bad shape. The track is horrible. It's, pardon my French kids, but it's crappy. And I don't know how long, I mean, I didn't go to Wattsburg, so I certainly didn't run on the track myself, but just being on it with the track team and the cross-country team, it's disturbing, it's disgusting, and I support the athletic facility. My children are runners, they are soccer players, and they'll be using it, and so that makes me excited. I hope the new athletic facility helps to bring out more school spirit and just makes the community proud, those of us who have athletes, and I just want this to be a positive year for you new school board members. Best of luck to you, Steve and Amanda and Jeremy and, is it Amy? Tara, I'm sorry. I knew it was a shorter name, I apologize. But best of luck to you guys and to the current members. So, thank you.
Our next speaker is Jace Walls.
Hello. Hi, I'm Jace Wools, 9595 New Road, Northeast PA 16428. The main thing I want to talk about is school spirit. I think that we should try to do more activities that try to boost school spirit, boost the students' view of the schools they want to be, interact with more in extracurriculars, sports, all the programs that we have to offer. I think that students should be able to have like a little bit more leeway with the dress code on spirit days. Like we should have like hats and a few things that might go with like Halloween costumes or like a Christmas, like a Santa hat or something. Just my opinion. Another thing is like extracurricular budgets. A lot of programs are getting a lot more money than others, and some are getting like little to nothing or even none. I think that we should like look into that and try to push things like where it goes and maybe give some programs a little more money to help boost their activities. Thirdly, I'd like to talk about school supplies. A lot of the teachers are using their own money for school supplies and stuff around the classroom to help the students to get them better, like pencils, all that. And I know like it was made aware to me that Mr. Banks's class, he didn't have enough chairs for all the students at the beginning of the year. I don't know if that's like a sound fact, but that's just what I was told. They have enough chairs now, but he had to like go around and gather chairs up. And I believe that we do need a more stern leadership, whether it be new people or we need to listen to the voices more. We need to try to get students more interactive, to come to more board meetings, to get them aware of what's going on, and to have them interact more in the district, so we know more about what's going on in our school and what we can do to help and how we can interact with them. I'd like to thank all leaving board members and current board members and new members for what you're doing and helping out with the district. Please vote for the opinions of the students so we can better the educational system, all the extracurriculars. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Jace, for your comments. Again, very well spoken. We appreciate your comments. Our final speaker is Mrs. Jody Gray. Welcome.
Jody Gray, 9595 New Road. Gosh, I've changed what I was going to say about 10 times today. So my point of speaking now is to address the board and the board only. I want to reason with everyone and first of all congratulate the newly elected board members, especially the write-ins. Thank you so much for stepping in and stepping up and taking on what you've done. I really appreciate that. New members, please take into consideration what's been done in the past couple of weeks, and please listen to what we are pleading. First couple of things that I want to beg of the board. First off, as an action item, as your newly elected seats, that some things that really need to change immediately is that the notes from the meetings need to get published sooner. The notes are not getting published until more than 30 days after the meeting occurs, and anyone coming to the meetings are at least 30 days behind what's actually happening. So there's no way anyone publicly can keep up with things unless they're physically here. And realistically, all of you know how many people were showing up before this whole controversial started. So really no one had any idea what was going on, and I think that's what's led us to how things have progressed here. Approving the notes ahead of time, please, can we do that so we can have the information ahead of time? We have to sign up a week in advance to have our names on the agenda. Can we have that agenda published a week in advance so we have time to think about what's being brought and what's being voted on? We're still in the dark. There's so many things that we are kept in the dark about that needs to change. That is all that we've been asking for from the start, is that we want to know what's going on and we want to know why it's going on, what you're doing and how you're doing it. This has never been a personal attack. None of us have done any personal attacks. I'm not trying to ruin anyone's lives. We just want transparency moving forward and have not agreed with how things have been run so far moving forward. And that is our only plea. The president controls this. Like, you control the fact that these notes aren't getting posted for us to see until after. That can be changed by you, I believe. You control what's on the agenda. I'll allow you guys to respond after there. But the way things have been run and how things have been gone is what has upset all of us. And the president is in charge of that. And that is the only reason why we're asking for different leadership right now. I 100% agree that your qualifications are phenomenal. I 100% agree that the data and the things in the schools are great. What I don't agree with is that the advantage of the complacency that's been brought on, and these decisions are being made without any input from the community. That's where we are in a very ugly spot and why we are here now. The newspaper, just the classified ad, when you called the special meeting, it didn't say to discuss the turf project or the athletic thing. It said to approve it. You posted that classified public announcement that you were having this meeting to approve this project. before the public had any information about it. That's the problem. That's where we are. And that's what brought us to where we are now. Gosh, I wish I had the 10 minutes. I didn't call a week ahead of time. So just from the agenda that was posted today, I want to talk about that. So that agenda was posted, taken down, changed. Posted, taken down, changed. At least 3 times that I can confirm. I believe it was more. That's not okay. Like, how can we keep track and keep abreast of everything when that's changing? That's leadership, guys. That is the leadership that we are having a struggle with. That shouldn't be happening. 1 minute. Okay. On the agenda, the things that I didn't understand, I emailed all of you. I don't know if you had the chance if your emails are even working, but how can you ask a board, a newly elected board, to vote on budget matters at the same meeting that they're being sworn in? I don't feel that's enough proper preparation. I don't think that's a good idea. It makes me question, again, who's making the decisions and who's leading this, if they're making the correct. I don't like the way it sounds. It doesn't feel right. I don't think that budget should be voted on at a newly elected meeting when they've not had proper time to even know what you're talking about. Then, 2 seconds. I know, oh God. All right, I tried. Just the last minute, just please vote representing us and not representing him. I know.
Okay, thank you for everyone who signed up this evening to speak. Your comments were taken under advisement. We're going to proceed now with the organization part of our board meeting.
Will you accept another speaker? Last school board meeting, you
No,
allowed
if
someone
you haven't
else.
signed up, we won't accept another speaker. Nice. We'll sign up next time. So the organization part of our meeting will be to elect a temporary president who will read the certificates of election for the new board members. We'll swear in the new board members, and then we'll conduct an election for the permanent president. So at this time, I will entertain a nomination for a temporary president. It must be from one of the 4 continuing board members.
Yes, Mr. President, I nominate Martin Bushjack.
Martin Bushjack has been nominated for temporary president. Is there anyone else who is nominated for temporary president? Hearing none, voting to approve Martin Bushjack as temporary president. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. He is the temporary president. Pass down the gavel.
Okay, first item under organization, the reading of the certificates of election required for newly elected or re-elected board members under School Code 402. In alphabetical order, I, Carl Anderson, the undersigned chairman of the Erie County Board of Elections of said county, hereby certify that after tabulating votes cast at the municipal election held on the 5th day of November 2019 in said county, Jeremy Blazer, having received 2,477 votes, was duly elected to the office of school director for a term of 4 years for the Wattsburg Area School District. Next, I, Carl Anderson, the undersigned chairman of the Erie County Board of Elections of said county, hereby certify that after tabulating votes cast at the municipal election held on the 5th day of November 2019 in said county, that Amanda Farrell, having received 2,548 votes, was duly elected to the office of school director for a term of 4 years for the Wattsburg Area School District. I, Carl Anderson, the undersigned chairman of the Erie County Board of Elections of said county, hereby certify that after tabulating votes cast at the municipal election held on the 5th day of November 2019 in said county, that Sean Matson, having received 2,504 votes, was duly elected to the office of school director for a term of 4 years for the Wattsburg Area School District. I, Carl Anderson, the undersigned chairman of the Erie County Board of Elections of said county, hereby certify that after tabulating votes cast at the municipal election held on the 5th day of November 2019 in Said County, that Stephen O'Donnell, having received 1,933 votes, was duly elected to the office of school director for the Wattsburg Area School District. Finally, I, Carl Anderson, the undersigned chairman of the Erie County Board of Elections of said county, hereby certify that after tabulating votes cast at the municipal election held on the 5th day of November 2019 in said county, that Tara Pound, having received 1,971 votes, was duly elected to the office of school director for a term of 4 years for the Wattsburg Area School District. If I could have the 5 new board members stand, please. Raise your right hand. I solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Congratulations. Next item, election of permanent officers. First, the permanent president of the board will entertain nominations.
Mr. Kuchak, I'd like to nominate Dr. Kuchak.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations?
Question.
Sure.
Yes. Are there any returning board members who would accept a nomination as president? Are there any new board members that would accept a nomination as president? Then I nominate Tara Pound.
Are there any other nominations?
I nominate two. Because he also said he would. Mr. Matson, I'd like to nominate him as well.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed. Excuse me. We will do a vote, and when your name is called, please cast your vote for one of the three individuals, Tara Pound, Sean Matson, or Dr. Pushjack. Go ahead, Madam Secretary.
Mr. Bloser.
I vote for Dr. Kuchak.
Mrs. Sparrow. I vote for Dr. Kuchak. Mr. Matson.
I vote for Tara Pound.
Mr. O'Donnell.
I vote for Tara Pound. Dr. Kuchak.
Mrs. Perkevich. Dr. Kuchak. Mrs. Pound. Tara Pound. Mr. Kuchak.
Dr. Pushjack.
Dr. Kuchak.
Dr. Pushjack. You're now president again. Passing the back. I'd just like to thank the board for their support, and I will continue in my capacity as president, and I will certainly make aware the issues that have been brought forward, in particular regard to getting out information, disseminating information. I've made that pledge before, and I will continue to do that. Moving on with the agenda, and now we will have our election of the permanent vice president. I will take nominations for vice president.
Mr. President, I
there any other nominations for vice president?
Mr. President, I nominate Chair Powell.
Chair, do you accept? Are there any other nominations for vice president? Hearing none, the nominations are closed. When we have a roll call vote, please state Amanda Farrell or Tara Pound when your name is called. Madam Secretary, may we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Wilson.
I vote for Amanda.
Mrs. Carroll. Amanda Farrell. Mr. Mattson.
Chair Pound.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Chair Pound.
Mr. Paris.
Amanda Farrell.
Mrs. Bekavich.
Amanda Farrell.
Mrs. Pound.
Tara Pound.
Mr. Kuschak.
Amanda Farrell.
Dr. Kuschak.
Amanda Farrell. Congratulations, Amanda, on the vice president. Continuing on with our organizational activities. I'll entertain a motion to set the date, time, and place of the regular meeting, work sessions, committee meetings as follows and presented on the agenda. And somebody can make a motion and somebody can make a second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion regarding the setting of the date, time, and place of the meetings as presented on the agenda, including board reorganization for December 7th? We have one item.
I do. June 15th for the work session is the same day as the regular business meeting for June 15th. I think that may be a typo.
Okay, we'll put the proper date down for the regular business meeting.
The second Monday in June is June 8th. The third Monday in June is June 15th.
Okay,
The work
so-
session would be the 8th. The board meeting would be the 15th.
So we have that correction. The work session for June is on the 8th, and the regular business meeting is correct on the 15th. Any further discussion about setting up the dates, times, and places for our meetings? We will vote to approve. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Moving on to letter F is the appointment of Assistant School Board Secretary, the appointment of Julie Bekavich as Assistant Board Secretary. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, voting to approve the appointment of Julie Bekavich as the Assistant School Board Secretary. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Bekavich, for serving in that capacity. The next item is the appointment of the Erie County Tax Claim Commission delegates. Our primary voting delegate is our Business Administrator, Vicki Bendig. The first alternative delegate is Marty Kuschak. The second alternative delegate is Tara Pound. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Any discussion on the appointment of the Erie County Tax Claim Commission delegates? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Letter H is the appointment of the Wattsburg Area School District to the Joint Operating Committee of the Erie County Technical School, and that is Mr. Stephen O'Donnell. I'll entertain a motion to approve Mr. O'Donnell as our representative to the tech school. Is there a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, voting to approve Mr. O'Donnell as our representative to the VOTEC. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Thank you for your willingness to serve in that capacity, Mr. O'Donnell. Our next item is the appointment of the board recording secretary, and that is to appoint Debbie Newfer as our recording secretary for the next year. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Voting to approve Mrs. Newfer as our recording board secretary. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Newfer, for your continuation in that position. We will need to approve the rest of the agenda, which will move into our regular board meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, voting to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. motion carries. We will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the November 18th regular board meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, voting to approve the minutes from November 18th. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries. That brings us to the superintendent's report. The chair recognizes Mr. Ken Berlin, superintendent of schools.
Thanks, Dr. Kuchek. I don't have a report this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Berlin. Next up, we'll recognize Mrs. Vicki Bendig for our business administrator's report. Mrs. Bendig.
Thank you, Dr. Kuchek. For tonight, I have reports, cash in the bank as of November 30th, 2019, $9,691,178.12. I also have, in addition to the agenda, I have a year-to-date budget to actual report. This is a work in progress. I'm trying to, the software that we use does not actually prepare this report, so it is something that has to be prepared. This is actual budgeted through November 22nd, 2019. It shows the original budget for each of the functional descriptions down the left-hand side. Any adjusted budget, which there have been none since the adoption of the budget in June. Our current expenditures for the month, the year-to-date expenditures through November 22nd. The remaining balance in each function as it is, and the encumbered balance. We've had a long history of staff members not putting in for purchase orders. We've had write-ups in our audits for it. I have been diligently working over the last 4 years to get staff members to put in purchase orders to requisition supplies prior to expending them, rather than just turning in a receipt after the fact and asking to get reimbursed. So this encumbered balance is balances in those individual functions that show we're planning on spending the money, but it hasn't actually been spent yet. And then the unencumbered balance is the total of current expenditures and the encumbered balance of what is left. If the number is red, that means that we're tracking to overspend those categories, and if each category needs to be will eventually be overspent, it will require a board-approved budgetary transfer in order to not overspend those expenditures. So we're asking to move money from other areas of the budget to cover those expenditures. So I have this budgetary transfer recommendation that I prepared for this evening for your consideration. Under special ed, we have charter school tuition that is not something that we can control. We have students that have gone to charter schools, and this account is trending up. So I'm asking that we transfer $47,000 from budgetary reserve to cover special ed tuition at charter schools for the middle school and the high school. I'm also asking to transfer money from alternative education tuition to court-placed programs tuition, because the expenditures in alternative education are higher. Low expenditures in alternative education, where our court-placed programs are trending higher. So asking to move $10,000 from one program to the next so that we can cover those. Also asking for a transfer from budgetary reserve to cover tuition reimbursement for elementary and middle school teachers, totaling $25,000. We have a lot of teachers taking advantage of tuition reimbursements. They're taking additional courses for their teaching certificates and moving forward with their education. That is up this year, and so I'm asking you to move $25,000 from budgetary reserve to cover the tuition reimbursement for those teachers. Additionally, a transfer from budgetary the plan. So currently I'm asking to transfer $5,000 from budgetary reserve to the employee assistance fund. This is a total of $117,000 total transfer that I'm asking for your consideration this evening.
Before you move on, are there any questions from the board regarding these transfer items? Now the time to address. Yes, Mr. Blazer?
Question. So it looks like all the projected deficits you were covering with those transfers, except for transportation. Can you explain why there's a projected deficit, or you want to fix what you're covering?
Mainly because the encumbrance of $135,000, if you were to remove that, there is not a negative in there, and that encumbrance, I haven't had an opportunity to look into it deeper. I believe it's in excess of what we normally spend. So I can change that purchase order. It is a blanket purchase order for the year for transportation, and the encumbrance would be lower so that we could not have a negative.
Any other questions for the municipal district, Mrs. Pound?
I do. So the 25 million was our budget for the year, and we're gonna come in, and it's already December, so how do we spend that 16 million that we're gonna have left over? Does it get carried over into the next year, or what happens to that money? Do we put it towards something else?
So the 16 million is just the amount that is left to be spent. So there's several $1 million worth of salaries and benefits that do not get encumbered. So those amounts are still in the budget and will be spent as we move forward throughout the year. So
Can you remind the board what are your budget cycle?
July 1 to June 30th.
Yeah, so if you're looking at, December, so, yeah.
We're not closing this out. We're not closing it out. This is going to be a consideration on the agenda under finance tonight. There's two items of budgetary transfer that Mrs. Bendig just came over identified as Exhibit 8. Are there any more questions for that? Okay, please continue with your report.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
the next item I have is the treasurer's report for the capital projects. This is total cash in the bank, cash in that account as of November 27th, 2019 is $1,878.39. At the time that this was prepared, we did not have the statements from the bank that were from November 30th, so I thought it would be best to give you something that was as of the date we could get it through, which was November 27th. At the next meeting, I will give you a revised or a treasurer's report as of November 30th, as in addition to a treasurer's report for December 31st. The cafeteria treasurer's report, cash in the bank as of October 31st, 2019, $168,107.57. This was not reported at last month's meeting because it was not prepared in time due to the invoice not being ready for that needed to be included in this. So next month I will have November and December's report to report in January. The cafeteria profit and loss. This is as of October 31st, 2019. Total revenue for the month was $76,000, excuse me. $76,214.46. Total expenses for the month, $78,314.05, for a net loss of $2,099.59, which brings our year-to-date loss to $42,527.42. And I will have next month's report in January. Also for your consideration tonight, Exhibit A1, checks already written. These are checks that were written from the last board meeting through tonight, totaling $9,585.88. And then the general fund bills for tonight's meeting for the month of December, $92,180.83. Cafeteria bills for the month, $8,800.79. fund bills, $6,291.85. Again, this is for UNS services, which is still more WAMS renovation bills that are coming through. And I also have a budgetary transfer requesting to move money from the committed fund balance to the capital projects fund to cover this check. The reason we left money in the municipal fund prior to paying the bill was the municipal fund earns a greater interest than the capital projects fund, so we're moving it as we're paying the bill out so that we can get the most interest that we can.
Pardon me, Mrs. Benedict. This is listed as a motion for budgetary transfer to be considered under F2 finance. I'd just like the board opportunity to ask any questions about this particular item, moving the committed fund reserve to capital projects fund as it just explained. Is there any questions related to this particular item?
Was
Yes,
this
Mrs. Farrell?
an expected expense that was coming in as part of this project? I mean, so it was part of the...
Yes, yes, all of these, as the project is, there are, when the board voted to move forward with the renovation project, it was the project as a whole, so there was a lot of moving parts that went with that, carpeting, new lockers, painting, the new HVAC program, all of those things. So they all, because it's a capital project, there is a reserve met. So we withhold that money until the punch list has been done and we make sure that all of the project has been taken care of. So we still have money in reserve that we're holding to make sure that the project is on track and done to our expectations. So these are the last of the few that will be coming through.
Thank you.
Any other questions regarding this budgetary transfer that will be under F2? All right. Sandy, please continue. Thank you.
The last thing that I have for this evening is Exhibit D. It is the Seneca High School Activity Fund. Total in that account, for those accounts this evening, $62,249.48. And that is all I have for this evening.
Thank you for those explanations, Mrs. Bendick. We will have a motion to approve these, and then we can have further discussion. We'll entertain a motion to approve the reports, payments, and invoices as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion, any further questions for the business administrator?
I have a question.
Okay, Mrs. Pound is recognized.
Okay. For the cafeteria participation on the average meals per day, is it, can we see a whole year view of that? I don't know if you have that exhibit or not. Just only, how many meals for breakfast, lunch?
Is it on the exhibit? I apologize. I thought that it was going to be, so I had done this chart. It is cafeteria participation average meals per day. I just wanted, as the board has asked in the past, how are we doing? How is participation for this? I wanted to give them something tangible to look at. So I only had an opportunity to gather information from the beginning of this school year, just so that we can show trending or how participation is going. Average meals served per meal per day by number of students that are eating breakfast at the elementary, middle school, and high school as it goes across the month. So I had hoped that I would be able to grab information from previous years, but I have not dug that out yet. So just for this current year, but going forward, I'm hoping, so thank you very much for getting that. This is for August, September, and October. As you can see, at the high school, participation is increasing since the beginning of the year. At the middle school, we had a little bit of a dip in October, and then in the elementary school, it continues to grow each month for participation. So I think that's a good thing. We've had a lot of positive feedback on the students about the meals and opportunities. They're getting an opportunity to voice their opinions on menu choices as well going forward. So that was just something I wanted to share with the board as we move forward with that.
Yes.
On the statement of revenues and expenses is that just for the cafeteria? Is this only fringe benefits, repair and maintenance, advertising package.
So fringe benefits is the FICA retirement insurance that we pay for our food service staff that are the district's employees. Repairs and maintenance is repairs to the equipment. So we have had an oven at the middle school that has been broken for 6 years. And we finally got someone in to fix it. We've had some other preventative maintenance projects that have not happened over the past several years, and we're trying to keep the equipment that we have in good working order so that we can provide a good quality, healthy meal for our students. That's what's in there. Advertising, that's advertising for positions. So at the beginning of the year, we had some openings in the cafeteria. We did not, so we advertised for that position, and it was basically a classified ad, thank you. And then mileage would be, is a leftover category from the previous. We had from the previous food service director, when we were paying for her if she would travel for conferences or anything out of the district.
Someone in the sense have a question? Yes, Mrs. Pikevich.
Mrs. Benny, do you know what the money is used for the activity fund?
So the activity,
I wasn't sure.
so the activity fund is not actually district money. The activity fund is each one of the categories that those activities that are in the activity fund. They raise money and spend money. They have a treasurer. It's a student-appointed organization. There is a teacher advisor who runs those activities. So, for example, the fall theater, it is self-supported. So they fundraise. They pay for their licensing for the scripts. They take in ticket money. They get all of that money back. It helps pay for their stage crew, the stage sets, and that kind of thing, anything else that they might need. National Honor Society the same way. They have fundraisers throughout the year. They're self-supported. They spend money as they have it in their account. And each one of those accounts is listed there of what their beginning balance was, anything that they spent, anything that they brought in, and then anything, their balance at the end of the period.
Is this for the class too, like the freshman class, like they're raising money? For
Class of 2020, class of yes.
Prom time, and spending all that? Okay.
Yes.
Is that, we've been selling candy bars and fruit stuff and,
Yeah.
that's where it's going.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Any further questions from the board to the business administrator? Thank you for your report and fielding those questions. We have a motion and a second. We will now vote. We will be voting to approve the reports, payments, and invoices as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Thank you again, Mrs. Bailey. We have 2 items under legal advisement this evening. I would like to move both of them together and then ask our school solicitor to provide an explanation for both of them. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve LA1 and LA2, which is the intergovernmental cooperative agreement with the Erie County Land Bank, and then also a Green Township intergovernmental cooperation agreement. I'll entertain a motion to approve those 2 items. Okay, properly moved and seconded. For our discussion, I would ask that our solicitor provide an explanation of those 2 items. Please.
Okay, well, LA2 is the one that I wrote. LA1 is the one that the county prepared, and they have distributed that to all of the school districts and townships and boroughs throughout Erie County to establish, have them participate in the Erie County Land Bank. My feeling about that agreement was that it was a little deficient in that when properties were identified to be in the land bank, whether it would be Green Township or Greenfield or wherever it would be, there was no process for the school district to be notified or to have any input. hence LA2, which would be an agreement between Green Township and the school district, so that the school district could have some input and knowledge as to what properties were being identified. Because as properties go into the land bank, if they're coming off the tax rolls, the municipal entity that is most highly affected is the school district. That's it in a nutshell.
Thank you, Attorney McClure. Any questions for Attorney McClure regarding these two items? Is there any further discussion regarding these two items? I think it's a good program for us to be involved with. And for everything else to say on the property. I think it's moving the right direction. Hearing, yes.
I was wondering if there were other townships that were considering the project after looking at what the benefit could be to both the township and to the school.
Yeah, there's been, we're kind of late to the party. There's many districts that have entered into the land bank agreement.
Are there other townships within our district that are looking
Not in
at
our,
it?
oh, that's a good question. Yeah, not in our township right now. Green's the only one. But they have some specific properties, blighted properties in Green they want to start with. But the land bank anticipates moving into the other townships.
And this agreement can serve as a model for the other municipalities.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Yes, Mr. O'Donnell.
So, this is our first meeting. So she gave that explanation. I had the opportunity to read it in advance, so I knew what she was saying. But is it appropriate to ask if they understand what it is? Because in her explanation, it made perfect sense to me, but I had all of the knowledge of what she was talking about. Does that make sense to?
There was a time for them to ask any questions about the agenda or any public
The
comments.
link wasn't live.
The link wasn't live.
The link wasn't live. I couldn't see it.
I apologize if the link wasn't live. Any further discussion?
It makes sense, though. It truly makes sense.
Hearing none, voting to approve LA1 and LA2, may we have a roll call, please, Madam Secretary?
Mr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mrs. McKevitt? Yes. Mrs. Crown? Yes. Mr. Bushback?
Yes.
Mr. Gloser?
Yes.
Mrs. Farrell? Yes. Mr. Mattson?
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Dr. Bushback?
Yes, the motion carries. Thank you, Attorney McClure, for those explanations. The chair recognizes Mr. Marty Pushchak for finance. Mr. Pushchak.
Mr. President, two items. First one, regarding the general fund budget for the 2021 school year, looking to approve the accelerated budget opt-out resolution certifying that the tax rate will remain within the inflation index and not go above, and therefore there will be no need to comply with the Act on Accelerated Budget Procedures for the 2021 general fund budget as outlined in Exhibit G. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Before we engage in discussion, Mrs. Bendick, could you please provide a little primer for the audience and the board on Act 1?
So, the Act 1 mandates that school districts cannot raise taxes above the assigned index. So currently, our adjusted Act 1 index tax rate increase is 3.5%. Should the school board want to be able to seek a referendum exception above the 3.5% that is allowable through the Act 1 index, they would have to not adopt this opt-out resolution, and we would have to adopt a preliminary budget prior to January 9th, 2020. It is the administration's full belief that we should be able to pass a budget within the Act 1 index. The opportunities for exceeding referendum exceptions for our district are slim to none, simply because there are only three main things that you can seek referendum exception for. One is capital projects or construction, which with the elimination of any plan con reimbursement from the state, we're not seeking to do any kind of new construction. The which in this case is less than $10,000. It does not really reap the district much benefit.
And if I could add, just for the new board members, that difference is small because we deliberately targeted special ed programs. We brought them in-house and we run them with our own people now. We were running many of them with the IU, which was exorbitantly expensive. So we've reduced that budget area in the general fund budget hundreds of thousands of dollars in the past several years.
So it is the administration's recommendation that we would adopt this opt-out resolution saying that we are going to keep our budget within the Act 1 index and not seek referendum exemptions to go above 3.5%.
Thank you for that explanation, Mrs. Bendig. Questions on the board? Questions for the business administrator?
I do have one question.
Yes, Mrs. Pound?
Does this occur every year? What happens beyond 2021?
This happens every year.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, voting to approve F1. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Kuschak.
Yes.
Mr. Bloom.
Yes.
Mrs. Bell.
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Yes.
Mr. Paris.
Yes.
Mrs. Kokendich.
Yes.
Mrs. Brown.
Yes.
Dr. Kuschak.
Yes, the motion carries.
Yes, regarding F2, budgetary transfer, we're looking to authorize the business administrator to complete the following budgetary transfers for the 1920 school year. H, and additionally $6,291.85 from the committed reserve fund to the capital projects fund as previously discussed. So moved. Second.
Any further discussion?